This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1. And today, I would like to discuss Timmy's's Law. Now, for those who may tune into this that have no idea what's been going on, you might be asking yourself, who the hell is Timmy? Well, Timmy is a rather strange individual who used to live in northwest Minnesota in a relatively small town of East Grand Forks. And Timmy is over on some of the alt-right message boards and social media sites, pretending to be an award-winning journalist who has a very close connection to the former president of the United States. He claims to be what you might call a press secretary. And he's supposed to be part of this vast organization known as the PPTF, which stands for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And this group he is part of is supposed to be operating under a mandate by the former president to combat pedophilia. And the truth is, they are doing no such thing. The organization does not exist except as this imaginary creation by a woman in a recluse in a house in the middle of a forest in a suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, roughly an hour from downtown Minneapolis. And she basically leads Timmy around on a leash. She pays all his expenses. She's bought him a car and all kinds of things. But Timmy is nothing more than an unemployed pizza delivery driver. And lately there's been speculation that he's either dead or alive, although the pendulum seems to be swinging towards him being alive, but in hiding because he's terrified of the very people he's associated him with. And the reason is, which I brought up yesterday, is because he has turned state's evidence. He has become a confidential informant for the FBI specifically, and is undercover providing information to the FBI, according to information that I'm getting on a continuing basis, that would lead to the arrest of individuals in these fringe groups, in these so-called militia groups, that either have conducted illegal activities against the government at all levels or are planning to. And these are violent actions. These aren't acts of civil disobedience. These are actual violent crimes. Insurrection, plots to overthrow the government of the United States, to install some kind of alternative government. And as a sample of what kind of government we would look forward to under these groups is something that I call Timmy's's Law, because he practices this law. Conceptually, in the way he writes his so-called articles and makes his videos. The core to understanding Timmy's Law is to understand that it means that you are presumed guilty, even if proven innocent. Under Timmy's Law, it would be almost impossible for someone, for instance, accused of being a pedophile, of proving that they're not a pedophile. Habeas corpus would be thrown out the window. And it would be a king's court. Someone in the alt-right movement would become king. And anybody that's followed this would know that that king would likely be the former president of the United States, who to this day claims the election was stolen. The big lie, as it's become known. Now, I'm not here to debate that. That's for other people. My position here is solely with this one individual and what he stands for. And basically what he stands for is charging and punishing people that he claims are guilty of crimes, even when it is absolutely and abundantly clear that they are innocent of the charges that this individual lodges against them. And that the only reason that they are guilty is because they are either Democrats or they don't support who he supports politically. Because in the end, this is all political, what he's doing. Everybody in a certain political stripe is guilty, no matter what. There's no alternative. It's a one-sided, one-party government here. There's no point in even having an election, because only people that he would find acceptable would be allowed. There would be no disagreement allowed. There would be no need for Congress. There would be no need for the House or the Senate or the Supreme Court or anything. It would all be law by decree. King Timmy would set the agenda. King Timmy would set the law. And King Timmy would enforce the law. And there are millions of Timmys out there that would do the same thing. So anyone who sees this guy running around accusing people of being pedophiles and getting involved in child trafficking and writing things and all this need to understand that this man does not understand the concept of due process. Under his law, there would be no due process. You would be adjudicated guilty even before the stormtroops came to take you away. This is how Hitler operated. There were pretend trials, but you were adjudicated guilty at these trials even before the trials started. It was a show. It was a joke. And this is why I come in to these right-wing places and counter this man's accusation. It has nothing to do with the specifics of QAnon. It has nothing to do with the specifics of all these other groups. Now, I don't believe these people. I think they're dangerous. But I'm not here to counter them. I don't care about them. Other people can fight these groups. I'm here to fight the false accusations that Timmy is putting out about other people, and neglecting to tell the truth about who he is. That he is no Clark Kent. He's not out for truth, justice, and the American way. He's just the opposite. He's an unemployed pizza delivery driver that had a very brief career as a journalist. He hasn't worked for anything close to his newspaper since 2008. He has not worked in commercial journalism, if you want to call it that, since around that time. He's done nothing except be a junior reporter for a small regional newspaper. He managed to pick up some kind of reward that doesn't account for crap from a newspaper that eventually fired him. And he got completely out of the business. He didn't get fired by one newspaper, go over and work for another. He didn't quit one newspaper and go work for another. He had one employer. And when he left that job, he never went back. Never went back into being a paid journalist. He instead went into being a conspiracy theorist. He was a blogger. From that point on, he operated a blog. And not for very long. He wandered around aimlessly for years after he left the newspaper job, trying to figure out what he was going to do. And he hit upon the missing child case in Florida. And he's been obsessed with that case ever since. That's the only thing that this man has on his mind, is that one case. And the lawyer who told him to go take a hike. He wanted to become something important. He wanted to be a big deal in that case. He wanted to be the man that solved the mystery of what happened to Haley Cummings. And he begged and he pleaded with the lawyer from Florida to partner with her, to join her. And she basically told him, get lost, go take a hike. And he didn't like the rejection. He didn't like being told that he can't become a part of this big story. He didn't want to be rejected from what could have been the scoop of a lifetime. No. So when he was rejected by this lawyer, he turned on her. Anyone that was even remotely associated with this case, he turned on. He rejected. You go back and read all his blogs from the beginning, from the day one. All you people that have joined up with him. You know, I'm not going to tell you don't read his blog. Go read it. Objectively. Set aside for a moment that this is one of yours. When in reality he's not. But read all his stuff. Read all his blogs from day one. Everything. And think to yourself, if everything that this man said was true, why aren't these people in jail? Ask yourself another question. If everything he says is true, why is the truck driver that's retired, that he rails against on a daily basis and has done so for over a decade, not in hiding? The truck driver drives around, travels all over the country. Nobody's looking for the truck driver. No cop is going to come up and put handcuffs on the truck driver because the truck driver's not guilty of anything. Never was. So, there's some people out there around this idiot who are using some very creative excuses as to why none of this is going on. And he goes to a group of people that believe in the wildest things and don't care. But the problem here is, and this is what Timmy fails to understand, is there are factions in these various groups that are extremely violent. That they would think nothing of putting a gun to my head and blowing it off because of what Timmy has written about me. And it's the same with the lawyer in Florida. And she's in greater danger because she's a person of prominence, and she is of the wrong political party. She is part of the political party that everybody accuses of being this deep state. And so all these people are in danger. My life is in danger because of people like Timmy, who don't give a tinker's damn about what they are doing to us. And if one of us gets killed tomorrow or seriously injured, he'd come up with some excuse, saying, well, they deserved it. They shouldn't have been a pedophile to begin with. Even though he has never proven any of his claims. He uses material that's been manufactured that law enforcement dismissed a decade ago as the creator of some internet prankster. They've investigated thoroughly all his charges and have dismissed every single one of them. And so he turns around and he calls law enforcement corrupt. He calls the investigators in the Haley Cummings case corrupt because they don't see things his way. He said, alternatively, Haley Cummings alive and dead over the years. Same thing with the Kaylee Anthony case. He muddled around with that a little bit. And he tried to get her as a victim of some kind of ritual sacrifice, even though they found her body. He leaves that part out. And it's fairly certain that the mother of the child had some responsibility to her death. The state just did a sloppy job of presenting their case, and it was adjudicated not guilty. So nobody's ever going to know the answer to that one. But he always comes up with these weird claims and doesn't prove a single one of them. And any time someone disagrees with what he has to say, they become a pedophile. They become a person that engages in satanic rituals and acts in bizarre, devilish things. One of his staunchest supporters back in East Grand Forks, who actually risked his freedom by breaking the law to help him out, he now labels as a pedophile, as a Satanist. Makes false accusations about this man and other people, everyone. There's a guy that dared to be my moderator for 1 hour, and now he's accused of being a registered sex offender, even though it's been shown that it is literally impossible for him to be the man they accuse him of being. That he did not do what they claim that he did. And I say they because Timmy and his handlers are both into this. But these people just keep this stuff up. And those of you over on these alternative websites that read this. You may be tempted to dismiss me because I'm not part of the group here. I'm not part of the so-called plan. And say, oh, you're just trying to save your own ass. I say, do your homework. Investigate me. I mean, there are documents within law enforcement of where I have made complaints criminally against people who created these materials, for people who hacked my websites. For people that have actually come out and said that they were going to come to Florida and beat the living crap out of me based on what Timmy has written in his Facebook page that no longer exists. Yeah, you people are treading in dangerous waters over there. You're going to get people killed. Innocent people. This isn't just harmless speculation or game playing or wreaking chaos for the lulz. This is putting people's lives in danger. Getting the severely unbalanced like Timmy out there to do things that are going to get people killed. Ruin people's lives. People that don't even know that they're being attacked. Now, I'll tell you something funny that's going on that nobody's caught on to. I've had a couple inquiries about who this guy is. Timmy writes about a guy that he claims is working for the CIA, that he's doing all these evil things. His name is John. And judging by some of the comments that I've seen over there, you know, people want to hunt John down and dispense justice. There's just one teeny tiny little problem. The guy's dead. He's been dead for years, for over a decade. It's kind of hard for a dead guy to do all these things, but apparently Timmy thinks they can. You know, Timmy's one of these people that believes in lizard people. He believes in fish people. He actually was closely associated with a guy that thinks there's a child sex slave colony on Mars. Even though the latest rocket being tested that would go to Mars blew up. You know, Timmy actually believes that someone built a rocket and took all these kids up to Mars, and there's a colony up there with all these kids, and they're doing all kinds of weird things up there. But this is who Timmy is. And I saw this coming. I knew that eventually this guy was going to find a violent group of people to hang around with. He's going to get in over his head. Because he pretends that he's not violent, but he keeps associating himself with people that will engage in violence for the sake of engaging in violence. They don't care. So, those of you who want to pretend that this guy is some big hero, knock yourself out. But I would surely like to know your reaction when someone gets killed because you believed in this man, that you encouraged this man. Will you be the one to pick up the gun and shoot somebody? Will you execute somebody because it's the right thing? This is what Timmy wants you to do. He thinks that if he can persuade someone out there that I am this pedophile, that I am the spokesperson for this national pedophile ring, that someone out there will take up arms and take me out. that they would end my life, that I would possibly not see my 71st birthday. You know, this is what the world is coming to. That some crackpot who can't hold a job, who has a reputation for not taking a bath for weeks at a time, can persuade someone to go out, get a gun, and kill his enemies. To practice Timmy's Law. This is William K. Murtaugh, Murt Witness 1. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification icon. Because until somebody picks up arms and shoots me dead, I'm not giving up. To those out there that believe in the truth, have a good one.